Don't panic.
Tonight on Recruits.
There's blood everywhere, the phones are ringing.
Carly on a night of chaos.
It is actually still bleeding.
Danger on the front line for Rebecca.
Get out of here!
Can you get onto the police? Get him here urgently.
And a life rests in Evan's hands.
I'm addicted to this universal feeling called life.
On Sydney's outskirts, trainee paramedic Evan and mentor Craig race to a suspected heart attack.
Ineffective breathing, stopped breathing, CPR progress.
Every year, across Australia, 48,000 people die from heart disease. It's the #1 killer in the country. If Evan is to qualify as a fully fledged paramedic, he must perform in these critical situations.
Well, I'll just go straight in then. The chiropractic centre.
They are attending a 61-year-old man who collapsed during a visit to his local chiropractor.
That's all you'll need. They'll have their own Viva in there.
All right.
The chiropractor immediately began CPR. Within minutes, an intensive care ambulance arrived. The situation was so critical, they called for backup.
So I want you to take over CPR.
All right, Sarah, I can jump in here.
I've already given one adrenaline.
Yep.
I'll need another adrenaline.
Okay.
Paramedics hope a second shot of adrenaline will help stimulate the man's heart.
So there's no pulse.
With no pulse, there's only one option left.
Do a charge.
Everybody clear?
I'll clear. That's the next adrenaline ready to go.
CPR at 17:06.
Paramedics wait to see if his heart has responded.
Come on, John. Come on, John.
I can't find the pulse. No.
The defibrillator hasn't worked. All paramedics can do is continue heart compressions as they get the man to emergency.
Confirmed cardiac arrest. Been doing CPR in there most of the time I was in there. They've just asked me to come out and arrange extrication of the patient. So I'm just looking at getting the bed in and working out how we can get him out. Just a matter of hoping his heart will start working again.
Mohammed, ready?
Okay.
Count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Got it. All right. Going
The
forward.
patient had complained of back pain, pins and needles, and sweating the night before. Now, he's fighting for his life.
I don't think he really had an opportunity when he collapsed to realise what was happening. I think it would have happened really quite suddenly for him, even though he had the chest pain since last night, even though he probably could have prevented it.
If the man had gone to hospital last night instead of the chiropractor this morning, his prognosis may not be as grim.
Righto, rolling off. In the back of the car, it's really just a continuation of what's going on in the scene, but in a more confined space.
Just do a resize, like just a recalibration of your hand position. That's it.
Cardiac compressions keep the heart pumping blood around the man's body and also draw air in and out of his lungs. Keeping oxygen-rich blood flowing to his brain is critical.
You're in charge of the monitor, you're in charge of the CPR, you're doing the airway, and there's only 2 of you to do that in a moving vehicle.
Just weeks out of college, and Evan has a man's life in his hands.
That's got pupil reaction. Pupils are dilated, so that means there is some activity happening.
We found that he was returning to periods where his heart was beating, but it was not powerfully enough to actually push the blood around his system.
So now,
We're going to be it.
so we're going to go for another shock.
Okay.
We had to stop at one point so we could shock. So Evan took over that, and he did that really well.
It's the first time Evan has had to use the defibrillator in a real-life situation.
Stand clear, delivering charge.
Good man. Okay.
It seems like such a trivial thing to just press a button on a machine and it's all done, but it certainly caught me by surprise. The first time I did it, I hadn't really appreciated that, even having seen it in movies. I mean, the whole body reacts.
As a probie, I think it's really confronting. As a more senior officer, I suppose this is the thing we do best.
Call was booked at 14:23.
So, he's been in cardiac arrest
Since 14:23.
The man has now been in cardiac arrest for 54 minutes.
I just can't stop this.
That's okay, stop.
That's all right.
A minute.
Okay, he's off the oxygen.
The man's survival will ultimately depend on the extent of damage to his heart and brain.
It's all right, we're right.
Unfortunately, the patient was called as being deceased in the hospital only a few minutes after we arrived.
Evan sort of stepped in, did great CPR, basically followed all the instructions that were given of him. So he's done well, he's performed as part of the team, and at the end of the day, that's all you can ask, so he's done well.
It was certainly very sad to lose this patient. There's no way around that. I mean, you know, you can hook people up to monitors and all kinds of equipment in hospitals and keep them alive, but once the brain's gone, it's gone.
Paramedic trainee Carly and mentor Jane are on duty in Sydney City.
4 to 8 on the 1C along road from on for the floor. The patient has his head cut open from glass.
A 74-year-old woman has fallen down a flight of stairs. Her friend anxiously waits for paramedics to arrive.
Oh, it's a big fall, dude.
Jane has made Carly the lead paramedic on the job so she can monitor her performance.
We're just going to go in and figure out how far she fell, and apparently she's hit her head on some glass. There might be something we need to fix on that.
What's your name?
Doreen, Mama.
Doreen. That's okay, you're a bit busy now, Doreen. Can we leave the phone for a sec?
Doreen and Jean have just returned from a 21st birthday party. After learning about the fall, everyone is ringing to find out how she is.
Are you in a That's my daughter ringing.
Okay. Does she know that...
Have you been drinking tonight?
Hello, Jane speaking.
Can you take the dog? Now, I'm just going to feel down your body, okay? And I want... Oh, dear, there's all this glass.
Jean, just don't panic. Just let them do
Darling,
what they've got to do.
so you've fallen. Where did you fall from?
Oh, halfway
Stairs up here. There's chaos going on everywhere. She's got blood everywhere, and the phones are ringing, and there's a dog. Her friends running around the house trying to tell me what's happening.
G'day, David. My name's Jane.
The dog doesn't belong here.
So you really got to learn how to control your environment really quickly, because it can get a bit sticky when you're trying to help and the family don't realise, but they're actually hindering. I'm the ambulance, and we've literally just walked in the door.
As Jane tries to bring order to the chaos,
So just pop over there for a sec.
Carly makes a disturbing discovery.
There's quite a substantial skin flap on the back of her head, and it is actually still bleeding.
Doreen, a 74-year-old pensioner, has fallen down the stairs.
I think it's hurting at the back.
There's quite a substantial skin flap on the back of her head.
Assigned as lead paramedic for the night, Carly finds the job harder than she imagined.
There's blood everywhere. There's this white little puppy that's running around and licking up the blood. With the phones ringing, it's just chaotic, and we've just run in and tried to, amongst all that chaos, deal with this patient.
Answer the phone.
Here you go, Noel. Say hello. She's okay. Hi, Beverly. We're just a little bit busy at the moment. It was just a nightmare. It's pretty hard when you're trying to be polite. I was being asked questions on the phone that I didn't know the answers to, so I wanted to get off the phone and for it to stop ringing. But we'll be at North Shore in about half an hour.
With so many distractions, Jane decides to step in.
Okay, let's start from the start, okay? Okay, first things first. Have you got any pain in your neck?
No.
I'm going to have to take your pearls off.
I was pretty relieved when Jane jumped in and kind of took over, because it was quite a difficult situation.
Do you have an ice, a little bit of ice in the freezer?
Doreen is conscious, but blunt force trauma to the head can cause serious damage.
At the moment, we're worried about a fractured skull. When you hit tiles, obviously that's hard to split the skin. You're worried about bones. She's got 74-year-old bones, so they are old bones. So we're concerned about that. Also pretty worried about a finger. Her ring finger's swollen up quite significantly. We can't get her rings off. And it actually looks like there's a laceration underneath that she's pretty lucky that she hasn't degloved a finger.
What's that for, darling?
Somebody wanted something cold.
We don't need butter, darling.
Ice.
Oh, what?
Ice.
I know, but you said anything that was frozen, and I can't get the ice out of the things. I don't know.
Carly's going to come across much more stressful scenes. You know, it gets stressful, but it gets more and more stressful.
But just wait until family members get here, okay?
Okay, we sort of got to wrap it up a little bit there. Sorry, darling, we've got to get her off to
We've got to
hospital.
go.
Can you call the dog for me, darling?
Yes, come here, Charlie.
Okay, just nice and slowly.
If I had a similar scene again, something that I would do differently would probably be try and get the family away from the patient, because it was quite difficult working around when there was a dog there and a woman kind of running around. So it's just, I guess, a really balancing act to just trying to keep them calm and yourself calm and take a deep breath and keep going.
A CT scan later revealed no fractures to Doreen's skull. She did require 30 stitches to her scalp and treatment for a fractured hand. Trainee Rebecca and mentor Chris are called to an overdose in Sydney's east.
519, thank you, and 28 overdose.
Reported overdoses can be extremely unpredictable. Patients can be comatose, manic, or anything in between. Chris gives Rebecca the lead.
I'll let Beck go in first and just suss it out, and I'll just go slowly in behind her, keep my distance.
Police are yet to arrive. As well as assessing the patient, Rebecca must gauge whether the situation presents any danger to paramedics.
Hi, how are you? Are you our patient?
An intensive care paramedic is also in attendance.
What's the move taken tonight?
What have you taken, darling?
That's all right, let's just get in the ambulance.
The situation appears calm, but suddenly things take an unexpected turn.
Out now. Get out of here! Get out now.
Calm down, calm down.
Get out of here!
You all right?
Rebecca and Chris have been called to a drug overdose, only to have a glass door slammed in their face by the patient.
Can you get onto the police, get him here urgently? Thank you. We don't know what her history is, but she's probably got underlying depression.
Instead of treating the patient, they treat themselves as they wait for police to arrive.
She's okay.
Chris has a cut hand. Rebecca, something in her eye.
Yeah, it was a little bit manipulating. When we got to the front door, she said, "You go out first, I'll lock the door behind you," because I've got the keys. I said, "Yep, no worries." So we walked out, and as we walked out, she slammed the door, and the glass shattered and all sprayed over us. And she's locked her front door now.
Police will try to convince the patient she needs to go to hospital. Right now, Chris is more concerned about Rebecca's injuries.
Okay, Beck? Do you want to put something over your eye?
Yes, I know.
Touch it.
Concerned that Rebecca may have a shard of glass in her eye, Chris calls for another ambulance to take over.
We need an ambulance here, one as well.
Now Rebecca is the patient on the way to hospital.
My eye's now very sore. It's stinging. It's not feeling too good at all.
These patients with underlying psych disorders are just potentially going to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, I suppose I've learned now to take more notice of glass doors, that's for sure. And now we're off road for a good couple of hours while they assess us both, and yeah, it's crazy. We do come across people that want nothing to do with us and try to hurt us.
Police eventually convinced the woman to go to hospital, where she received medical treatment and counselling. Rebecca would be off work for a week as her eye healed.
At the end of the day, we're there to help people. You know, we're not police, we're not there to arrest, we're there to help.
Come on, my darling, come inside and we'll have a sit down there.
On the fringes of Sydney, it's been a big day for trainee Evan. Only hours earlier, he lost a patient after a cardiac arrest.
Stand clear, delivering charge. Shot.
Good man.
Now, at the end of their shift, Evan and mentor Craig have been called to a familiar patient with a familiar condition.
We've just been called to one of our regular callers who's complaining of some symptoms that are sort of regular symptoms. So we'll go in and see anyway, just see what we're up against. Do you just want to grab the bed, Evan? Yep, on the way. You're walking out, Kevin. Righto. Saves us some lifting.
Patients like Kevin are called frequent flyers. They call an ambulance on a regular basis.
What's happening tonight, Kev?
My back.
Your back sore, is it?
And my shoulder.
And your shoulder.
Yeah.
All right.
And neck.
Hop on up. Have a seat for me. How'd you go after being in hospital the other day?
So Craig will do an assessment in the back and we'll run him straight up to hospital because we've got to take him since he wants to go, whether he needs to go or not. And we'll see what we find on the way up. You're walking better than you normally walk. You're sounding better than you normally sound. In what aspect are you crook?
Bad back pain.
Everyone has their regulars. Kevin's one of our regulars that we have out here. We go to quite often for different complaints, but usually the same reason behind it. How much have you had to drink tonight, mate?
Not bad.
You don't reckon that the alcohol might be causing it?
Paramedics are obliged to treat a patient if they ask to be treated. However, Kevin seems to be pushing the boundaries.
You really want to try and watch out, Kev, that you don't keep abusing the system, because if you keep abusing the system, what's going to end up happening is, and it's happened to other people that abuse the system, is they end up in front of a judge. At times it tests your professionalism because you still have to treat them with respect and dignity. You can generally tend to have a joke with them, but because you do get to know them and they get to know you. I mean, there are other ways of getting transport around other than using an ambulance, Kev. So you can sort of discuss what would be nice in a perfect world, like I did with Kevin tonight.
We're there already.
We're here already.
Yeah. Oh.
No mucking around this time, Kev.
So basically we've just dropped one of our regulars, Kev, off at emergency. As usual, he's gone through triage with nothing found, been given his free sandwich and his coffee, which is all he ever really comes up for anyway.
Problem with Kev is he generally calls us on pension day to come down here to Centrelink. We get him here, gets a sandwich, walks out before we even finish the paperwork and goes over to Centrelink. So that's a standard Kev.
The call-out fee for an ambulance is over $300, but Kevin's a pensioner and doesn't pay.
Unfortunately, it does take a resource away, but as Kevin said, he's not going to change anything, so we'll see him next time.
It's extremely frustrating when our paramedics turn up at a 000 call only to find that the patient, for all intents and purposes, is really just looking for a taxi ride. If people need an ambulance, of course they should call 000. What we're asking for is just a little bit of thought prior to making that call.
Oh, the bloody ambulances. They're everywhere.
For Jenna and Cleone, it's shaping up as one of the biggest nights of the year in Sydney's West.
Copy that, drop it down.
Assault. We've got a case with an assault.
Okay.
So he's just dropping it down.
I think it's starting to liven up. It's taken all...
The assault call-out is not unusual, but it's far from an ordinary night.
It's a full moon, it's windy, and it's pay week, and it's the night before Christmas. Hold on.
Yep. 325 responding to 1B Bidwell assault.
It's the night before Christmas in Sydney's West. Jenna and Cleone have been called to an assault.
Welcome to night shift review.
It doesn't really bother me because I'm from this area, so I'm kind of used to it.
It might be a time of goodwill. Where they're heading, Christmas cheer and fairy lights are in short supply.
Right now, the street we're going into is quite dark. There's a chance that they may be intoxicated, so always keep your wits about you.
If there's one thing Jenna's learnt on the job after 8 weeks, it's that assaults are bad news.
325 Sydney. We're arrived on scene and we have police presence.
Police may have the situation under control.
Hello, what's happening?
But now Jenna and Cleone have to deal with the fallout.
We've got a busted arm and a busted toe.
Busted arm and toe. His toe's certainly bleeding. Which arm's busted? Have a look, Jenna. He's got some swelling here. Mm-hmm. All right. How did you get the injury?
Somebody fell on it.
Someone fell on it. So you didn't put your hand up in defence or anything like that?
No, I got pushed to the ground. And
then someone's landed on you.
Fell on me.
Okay.
Mark tried to stop a fight between drunk neighbours, but came off second best.
Is it comfortable in that position, your arm?
Yeah, it's a bit painful, but...
Yeah, it will be a bit sore. Have you had anything for the pain at all yet? Or it's only just happened that quickly, you haven't had anything?
There was so much happening next door that I hadn't had time to do anything.
Okay.
Yeah, there was an unconscious lady that's been dragged inside.
So where is she?
Inside. And I'm worried about her.
Hold on, see what's happening outside.
So, and her name's Ali.
Ali, all right. Gentleman we've got in the car, he states there was a woman who was knocked unconscious and was dragged inside. Do we have any confirmation of someone being knocked unconscious and dragged inside?
No, there's a woman in there. She came outside, she's fine.
Okay.
The fallout from the assault appears to be no more than a sore arm and a cut toe.
Oh dear. Oh, this is Christmas, isn't it?
The night before Christmas, and the only gift Mark looks like getting is pain relief.
Have you ever had methoxyflurane before? The green whistle? Yeah? Okay. We can give you that and see how you go with that. Just check that he's got no problems with his kidney and, you know, all the usual things. No kidney problems. Make sure he's not pregnant.
Guessing not. No?
Yeah, I've got a baby South Sydney rabbit. Go the bunnies.
But as Mark loosens up, Jenna learns the incident could have been much worse.
My arm and my foot were the brunt of the altercation. And then after that, I had a knife brought on me.
For paramedics, there's no such thing as a silent night on Christmas Eve.
There you go, there's our Christmas cheer. Head to your left, darling.
I think everyone's had a bit too much Christmas cheer.
Oh, it's not bright.
Next time on Recruits, Rebecca attends a family in crisis.
Listen to me, what's going on?
Evan takes the lead in a multi-car pile-up.
Nothing prepares you for the adrenaline rush that you get being the first ones to turn up and go, crap, it's us, and that's it.
And Jenna deals with tears and broken bones.
That should be there.
For more Recruits action, log on to the website.